the crash in the canyon. Ethan was cutting firewood when the sky lit up. A streak of silver tore through the clouds and crashed somewhere beyond the ridge. The sound shook the earth, and a deep boom echoed through the canyon walls. His daughter, Ellie, came running out of the house, wide-eyed and barefoot. "Dad, something fell," she said, pointing to the smoke rising behind the hills. Ethan looked at the smoke, then at her, and nodded. "Get your boots, we're going to check it out." The path was rough, dry, and silent, except for distant crackling and the low hum of cooling metal. As they reached the edge of the ridge, Ethan saw it, a broken pod, scorched and bent. Wedged between the canyon rocks, the hull glowed faintly, marked with strange curved symbols that pulsed in blue. "Stay back," Ethan told Ellie, stepping closer with his old plasma cutter ready. The pod hissed, and a panel opened slowly. From inside, a tall figure crawled out, wearing a silver suit torn at the side. She had glowing skin, long braided white hair, and violet eyes that dimmed as she looked at him. "Please," she whispered, falling into his arms. "Protect the air." Then she passed out. Ethan lowered her gently and checked for wounds. Deep gash across the ribs, rapid breathing, body temperature low but stable, not human but not a threat. Ellie stood behind him, silent, staring at the strange woman. "She's pretty," Ellie whispered. Ethan gave a tired sigh. "Yeah, and she just made our quiet life very complicated." He carried the alien back to their homestead, wrapped her wounds with clean cloth, cooled her body with damp towels, all while Ellie watched, never afraid, only curious. That night, the woman woke briefly. She looked at Ellie and smiled weakly. "You are the light?" she said softly. Before falling asleep again, Ethan stayed up by the window, watching the stars. Somewhere above, someone was probably looking for her. And if she was important, if she really was some kind of royalty, trouble wasn't far behind. He looked over at Ellie, who had fallen asleep beside the alien on the couch, both breathing softly, both calm. He didn't know what was coming, but he knew one thing for sure. He had already decided to protect them both. The Empress and the child. The lights flickered the moment her hand touched Ellie's forehead. Every device in the room pulsed blue. The air turned warm, and the old solar lamp cracked with a sharp snap. Ethan jumped up from the kitchen chair, his heart racing. "Hey," he shouted, running toward them. "What did you do?" But Saraxa didn't move. She sat with Ellie on the floor, their foreheads still touching, eyes closed, calm as still water. Then she whispered, not to Ethan, but to the room, "She is chosen." Ethan knelt beside them, grabbing his daughter gently. Ellie's eyes opened, calm and glowing faint gold for just a second. Then they faded back to normal. "I feel warm," she said, like when Mom used to sing. Saraxa opened her eyes and looked at Ethan with quiet strength. "Your child carries the ancient bond," she said, "one that cannot be taught or forced." Ethan frowned. "She's just a kid." Saraxa shook her head. "She is more than that to my people. She is what was lost." Later that day, Saraxa explained it all. She wasn't just a royal, she was the empress of a fallen star clan. Betrayed by her own council, her bloodline was nearly erased. But prophecy spoke of a child of breath and soil, a child born from earth but tied to the stars. Saraxa believed Ellie was that child. Ethan didn't want to hear it. His job was to protect Ellie, not give her to some ancient alien cause. But then Ellie began to change. She started dreaming in languages she never heard. She could make small plants bloom by touching them, and her calmness deepened, like she somehow understood more than before. One night, Saraxa stood outside, barefoot on the red soil, looking at the moonrise. "She will have to choose," she said as Ethan approached. "The time will come." He shook his head. "She's just a kid. You don't get to decide her future." Saraxa looked at him sadly. "Nor do you." That night, the sky changed again. Bright flashes lit the horizon. Ships in orbit. Not civilian, not peaceful. Someone had tracked the Empress. They were coming. Ethan turned off every beacon and cloaked the house in silence. He sat by Ellie's bed with a blaster in hand, watched from the shadows, her eyes burning with quiet fire. She whispered something in her native tongue, words that meant only one thing. If they wanted the child, they would have to go through her first. The queen who called her daughter. The first explosion shattered the silence just before dawn. Ethan rolled out of bed, grabbed his blaster, and sprinted to Ellie's room. She was already awake, sitting up, her eyes glowing faint gold again. Saraxa stood at the window, her silver robes drawn tight, her voice calm. "They've come," she said, "but they will not take her." The enemy dropship hit the ground with a low hum that rattled the canyon walls. Armored soldiers poured out, tall and sharp. Their armor marked with the black symbol. Syraxa had shown Ethan in her dreams. The crest of the traitors. They were here to finish what they started, to erase the last royal bloodline. Ethan stepped outside with a blaster shaking in his grip. He wasn't a soldier, not anymore, but he was a father. "I'll buy you time," he said, voice hard. Syraxa stepped beside him, her hand glowing with blue light. "No," she said, "you will stand beside me." Ellie walked out barefoot, eyes half closed, arms by her side. She stood between them, unafraid. One of the soldiers aimed at her, then paused. Ellie lifted her hand and the earth around her shimmered. In the next moment, everything stopped. A wave of golden light pulsed from Ellie's chest like a heartbeat. The soldiers staggered. Some fell to their knees. Their weapons disarmed, not by force but by something deeper, something ancient. Syraxa raised her voice, clear and royal. "You came for the child, but she is no longer only of earth." She stepped forward and stood behind Ellie, her hand gently resting on the girl's shoulder. "She is of my blood, my spirit, and my line, and I name her what she already is, daughter of the Empress." The soldiers hesitated, confused, then slowly backed away. Their leader knelt without a word. The bond had been accepted, the prophecy awakened, and their mission dissolved. They returned to their ship, leaving the family unharmed. That night, Syraxa prepared to leave. Her people would come for her now. Not to kill but to follow again. She would reclaim her throne, but she would not go alone. Ethan sat on the porch, staring at the stars. Ellie came out and leaned against him. Her voice soft. "Am I still your daughter?" He pulled her close and smiled. "You're more than that, kiddo," he said. "You're mine and, now you're hers." To Syraxa stepped outside, her royal cloak glowing in the moonlight. Ellie ran to her, and the Empress knelt to wrap her in the folds of silver. Together, they faced the rising dawn. Not just a family, but a legacy reborn.